Hello everybody, I am Jacob Kringsted. I am the Vice President here at STP Manufacturing. I kind of want to put together some videos here to show people, our viewers, our customers, how manufacturing is done in the agriculture industry and here at our place, I guess. I think it'd be good for people to know our level of customization, our quality, and how things are done. You know, as we go through this video series, it might be a little tough. There's quite a bit of things that we do that are going to be tough on intellectual property and, you know, whether it be NDAs with customers or things like that. But we'll try to get through pretty thorough and show as much as we can on everything from the customer sitting down with us, coming up with an idea, all the way to drawing it, ordering it, producing it, and assembling it and shipping it. So it'd be kind of fun to go through the whole step-by-step process. I do the sales more so and a lot of the R&D, so I'm on the road a lot, so it's gonna be kind of tough, I think, to get good quality video of in-house manufacturing, but I'm gonna try my best. And then also you're gonna see, I'm sure, a lot of trade shows, how we get to trade shows, how we set up at trade shows. And then I also do a lot of setup and warranty work. So I'll go to the farm, I'll set it up machines with the customer, and I'll come back 10 days later, look the machines over, make sure everybody's comfortable, you know, on-site training, things like that. So a lot of travel, but I think I can still get enough video here to make it worth our time to show you start to finish how we produce our products. Purpose of these videos, I guess, are kind of to show our story. There might be a little bit of marketing behind it, I guess. I want people to know who we are, what we're capable of. But also I want to show people about manufacturing in the United States, specifically the agriculture manufacturing. There isn't too much information out there on it. I mean, obviously you got some of the big guys, you got the John Deeres, the Case IHs, and that of the world, but it's pretty rare to get a behind-the-scenes look at some of the smaller companies, and I think there's a lot of value to that. Number one, knowing where your product comes from, how it's built, the quality behind it, I think is a good value to us to show you guys, but also just in general that we're not much different than the farmers. We work ridiculous hours. We do a lot of travel. We are very family oriented. You know, it's very much the same thing, and I think it'd be fun to kind of show that behind the scenes look and how we do it, and then also how the product is built. So I like to watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of videos on that kind of thing, and there's just not much out there. So I think it's a great fit that we get out there and we tell our story. STP Manufacturing is located in Park River, North Dakota. So if you're looking at the map, we are 40 miles in from Minnesota and 40 miles down from Canada. So right up in the corner there on the North Dakota side. We're based in the Red River Valley, which is very rich black soil, follows the Red River all the way down to basically the South Dakota border, and then maybe 40 to 60 miles on each side of that. So it's a large swath. There's a lot of potatoes and sugar beets grown here, but you also get some of the grains, the wheat, the barley, the corn, the beans, and things like that. So very, very heavy agriculture area. So STP Manufacturing has 5 main product lines, and I'm sure I'll cover those more in depth later as we go. Keep it pretty vague right now. STP itself is a product line as well as the name of the company, which is kind of confusing, but I'm sure that'll change here as we go. I'm sure we'll change our name to something a little more generic, you know, on top of all the product lines. But STP is a hydraulically operated towing system. It eliminates chains and cables for towing, used in the sugar beet industry since the 1990s. Then we developed the slingshot, which is a kinetic energy rope, basically a stretch tow rope. From there we developed the crop shuttle, which is basically a grain cart but used for vegetables. So a commodity cart used mainly for harvest, but a couple other places as well. In 2018 we bought Strong Box, which is a live bottom trailer and bulk box company. It was actually manufactured by BL Industries in Walhalla. So we bought that out in 2018, moved production here to Park River, North Dakota. And then just recently we actually teamed up with Prairie Plastics. So Ross McShane is now our sales manager. He sells our Strong Box line as well as our Prairie Plastic line, but we vertically integrated a little bit there. So we use quite a bit of plastic in our manufacturing process. So it was actually a pretty good fit to bring him in and kind of team up and be able to offer those HMW, new HMW, those premium lines. like I mentioned earlier, Safety Pole is a pretty new company. We're only about 5 years old, but we obviously got quite a bit more experience than that, as we have a sister company, Kringsted Ironworks, that manufactures the sugar beet pilers. So we're kind of a spin-off of that. We kind of took the more marketable and full production products, brought them under this roof, and kind of run them out of here. That shop is a lot more steel prep and kind of bigger projects. I mean, they're building the 4818 sugar beet piler is kind of their biggest product they build, but they also do a lot of manufacturing stuff for other companies, such as ourselves and other local manufacturers. So I'm sure they'll be tied into these series a little bit. We don't do any steel prep over here at Safety Pole. Shouldn't say no steel prep. We do minimal steel prep. Pretty much everything is brought in from the Kringsted Ironworks side of things. So we have obviously engineers here that do all the drawing and everything, but we'll make up the parts in a CAD. We will send it over there for an order. It'll come to us on a pallet, basically with a bill, and then we send a check. So they're basically our largest vendor, and we're one of their largest customers. So there's a pretty good relationship there on getting steel back and forth. So in our little sector here, we only have about 18 people. If we had to have plasma cutters, lasers, CNC mills, lathes, saws, stuff like that, we would probably have, well, we would have to have a lot bigger building and a lot bigger labor force. So sharing that has been pretty nice. Also, with that being said, it's all family owned. It's same ownership between the both. It's just a little more focused when you get two separate roofs over it. So I head up this half, and Bernie, my father, heads up that half. So me, my wife, and my brother run Safety Pole. I'm the VP General Manager. Alec, my brother, does production and floor management, I guess. And then Rachel does all the finance, and now she's starting to take over the internal sales, so Safety Pole and Slingshot sales in-house here. So us three run this, Bernie runs that. It works pretty good, actually. So worked pretty well back and forth. Safety Pole, like I said earlier, is a pretty young company. We're about 5 years old, but as we go down, I'll probably give a tour here in this series. We'll walk through our location. I'll show you what we started with, and then the different phases of growth. In 5 years, we've doubled. I don't know how many times. I mean, we've grown quite a bit in the past 5 years, so I can kind of show you how we've dealt with that and what steps we're taking to get where we are. We just opened up our new welding facility. It's still attached to this building, this complex, but it's about 6 times bigger than what we had, so it's pretty large, and that was definitely needed to help accommodate the crop shuttle and the strong box line. The Safety Pole is only, the largest item was about, I don't know, 8 to 10 feet long, and now we're dealing with things 50 feet plus. So a lot of steel. Didn't have cranes at the time, so everything was built with a forklift, which obviously was hindering our production capabilities, plus also then cost. I mean, it's very, very costly, a lot of man hours to build a crop shuttle without the proper tools. So now that building's up, we've been in it since May. It's been very helpful on, number one, driving our cost down, number two, helping us produce more. So we've grown probably 300% a year consistently on the crop shuttle side. So we're getting quite a bit more units out there, and that is definitely the building's help. I mean, just getting more efficient that way has been a huge fix. As we go down there, take a tour, you're also going to notice that we're not quite moved in yet. So it's already January 2020. Yeah, we moved in May 19, but by the time we got in, the building was a couple months late. By the time we got in, it was go time. I mean, we were already knee deep. I mean, that's when we get busy. Summer is brutal. So we pushed all the cranes aside. We didn't have time to put airlines in. Basically had a shell of a building, and we needed to start producing. So we had carts that were due, we had trailers that were due, we had safety poles that were due. So we just dove head first, pushed all that stuff aside, for better or worse, and finally getting to it now, getting our cranes up, getting our airlines in, getting our tool crib made, and getting kind of all our spots set up. So you'll see that as we go through there. It's an absolute mess, but that's what it is. I mean, we're working on it. We'll get the cranes up, and then everything's gonna have a home, and then we can really start producing. Also, with that being said, we go down there, there's actually, now that the shop is gutted and we're trying to put cranes in, we still need to produce. We have a couple trade shows coming up, therefore we have to have units to do for those trade shows. So while that mess is going on and while everything's gutted, we're still trying to put out product, because the world still turns even though the shop isn't quite ready. So You'll be seeing that. There's a couple units down there that will be, I'm sure, in the backdrop of the video, or maybe we'll walk around them and show a couple of features, but that will also be down on the floor. Like I mentioned earlier, we actually order all our steel prep in from the other shop, Kringsted Ironworks. So there's a pretty good example of how we get our parts. You know, this is part numbers on there and order number. Comes over on a pallet, like I said. So that's all hopper parts for a crop shuttle. So basically it's going to turn into this. Those are the plasma pieces finally showing up. This particular machine is going to go to the Sugar Beet Institute show and also International Crop Expo. Both of them are in Grand Forks, North Dakota this year. So this particular machine will get, I believe these tip tops here will be the blue part that goes around on the back side, and then actually get outfitted with this 30 digger cleaning table we just brought in from Alberta. So it's actually a multi-step cleaning table, hydraulically driven. So that'll get mounted right about here, then the boom goes there. So this area is what we call our old shop. It was built in 2014, so it's not very old at all, but we outgrew it pretty quickly. We're in the process of converting it over for assembly. So this will eventually be the clean side, even though it's pretty dirty right now. Like I say, we're moving over right now. So this will be the clean side, and all the assembly will be done here. This was at one time used for just making safety poles, which is about 10 feet long. So there's plenty of space at that time. There was a bunch of, we had a bunch of welding bays and stuff in here, saws and stuff back there. Now it's kind of an open floor layout. We gutted it again. It's been gutted 4 times in about 4 years. So gutted it, put pallet racks on the wall, and eventually this will become assembly. So this crop shuttle just got some stripes last night. It'll get finished decals probably tomorrow. And then actually our tracks are due to show up tomorrow for the frame, so they get mounted, and this hopper will actually get mounted. So as you can see, we got some axles down here, boom belt over there, we got hopper belts. So this is kind of where the final assembly gets done. Again, it's pretty messy because we're in the process of moving over into the new shop. Another thing I want to mention too is we do all in-house powder coating. So I don't know if you know what that is, but we actually hang all our parts, acid wash them, phosphate wash them in that bay right there. Then they'll actually roll into what we call a powder booth. So you can see this got done doing some blue, it looks like, but it's basically baby powder. And then as soon as you bake it, it'll almost turn to plastic. It's a nice hard finish. No runs, no misses, so all electrostatic. And then actually after that, you roll it in here, we bake it at 400 degrees. So we want the steel to cure, so the steel will actually be 340 degrees for 10 minutes. After that, it cools off, and that's it. No cure time or anything like that, where paint, you're worried about sticking to it or anything. Nice gloss finish. On this wall is all our different truck hitches. If you go out that door there, we're connected to a really large warehouse that has a ton more storage, but right here is kind of what we keep in-house that might sell through the winter. It's kind of our slow time for safety poles, so most of the odd stuff goes outside, everything else stays here. Let's see if we kind of keep some of our shanks and universal stuff on hand. High volume units, everything else goes out to the warehouse. So as we go from the old shop, this is what we now call the new shop. This will be all the welding. Right now it's obviously again a mess because we are installing overhead cranes in the North Bay, and they're actually going up right now in the South Bay. So this side's pretty much complete, waiting on some control boxes, and then this side will be completely ready for welding production. On the back wall there's obviously a couple of welding bays, tool crib is going up, mezzanine with parts is going up. As you can see, a lot of bare steel, not quite finished yet, but it's in the process. Got some parts for the crop shuttle for the trade show cart. Got some hoists in here we're revamping. That'll be on that side. And then in the backdrop there, we got a cart that's gonna head out here in 2 days. It's headed to Arkansas for a corn silage show. So maybe we'll walk around that quick. So this unit's going to head to Arkansas here in about 2 days. It's going to the United States Custom Harvesters event. which is held in Arkansas this year. It's a traveling show. They just got done. They had the tracks pulled off it. They put scales in there. I think they're just doing finishing touches now. We did some touch up, stuff like that. Just washed it. It'll get its warning stickers. And then I think it loads up here in 2 days, I believe. So this thing's kind of a beast, I guess. A lot of new features on this one that we haven't done before. So we actually took it out to a local dairy about 4 hours away, ran some testing, came back, made a couple mods, and now she's gonna go to the trade show. Then after that trade show, it actually ships all the way down to Wilcox, Arizona. So I'd like to do a video on that too, as the series goes on, go down to Arizona and see this thing do a demo. It's actually going to be competing against 2 other carts, so it'll be kind of fun to show the other competitors' carts, our cart, and what everybody can do, I guess. So right now it's actually pretty wide open. There'll be pallet racking and stuff in here, I'm sure, with parts filling in. There's a steel rack. Like I said, most of our steel comes from the other shop, so we don't need to hold a bunch of raw steel on hand. We do have a new CNC bandsaw. We do a lot of cutting here, but as far as anything needs a hole drilled or milled or machined or any of that, we actually just still order that in from our sister company. It just makes way more sense to go that route, a lot more efficient. Keep this open floor for welding production and then assembly over there in the old shop. On this side, so back here we actually have just cold storage right now. That will be a paint booth, and plans were right where I'm standing was going to be our sandblast area, but it actually turned into part staging. We actually sandblast outside. We're putting up a hoop shed. That's where the sandblasting will be done. It's kind of just our staging area. Parts will come in from the other shop, get assigned a bin number, a pallet number, sorted out per weldment, and then get shipped off to a welding bay to get welded up. So as you can see here, there's a lot of parts coming in, getting accounted for and sent off. Also with that, we're actually going through a software change right now. So we used to just have spreadsheets for everything. Now everything's done barcode. So that's another reason this place is a mess. We had to completely tear everything out, turn it upside down, give it a part number, give it a home, and basically try to revamp our whole system. Here too, they're putting in airlines, so it's actually quite a mess, but we're getting there. We're getting it done. About another month here, we're going to be wide open trying to produce because we got trade shows coming up and these units are due, but we're getting through it. As you can see, there's not too terribly much to it. Pretty open floor design. Like I say, there'll be a lot of pallet racks stuff in the middle eventually. We should be able to build, 6 carts simultaneously if we had to, plus assemble 2 in the old side. Right now it's pretty cluttered, but once we get moved in and sorted out, I think the efficiencies will be definitely there. It'll be assembly line style where we start welding here, work our way that way, go around, get put into this side of the shop, they'll get assembled, out the door they go. So one thing I think I mentioned is we're actually building our own overhead cranes, which sounds like quite the task, but really, I mean, it's just steel. I mean, that's what we do. So we actually put all the legs up. We did quite a bit of engineering on that, sent it off, got it all approved, did testing and all that good stuff to make sure it's strong enough, obviously, to get the rating. But we're actually doing, I think they're 50-foot spans. We're gonna have a 6-ton and a 2-ton on that side, and we got conjoining 5-ton on this side. And the steel's all new, but the actual hoists themselves are out of a different manufacturing plant just down the road, 60 miles away. Got them for a pretty good price, so saved, boy, a lot of money by doing it ourselves. It's a decent amount of work, but for the value gained, I think it's definitely worth it. Like I said, there's nothing really special to it. It's I-beam welding and paint. It's not too big of a task for us, I guess. So as you can see, it's nothing too fancy. I think as we go forward here, I'm not sure how many episodes we will be doing. I'm going to try to do it every month and then kind of have a theme behind it. I think the next episode I'll do will be trade shows, as I'm on my way to a trade show right now, sitting in the airport. But maybe how to get there, what it takes, and then just the necessary evil behind it. With that being said, thanks for watching, and try to find us an episode 2.